this one again. Is it proper English? This year, South Africa became the first African nation to host the FIFA World Cup Soccer Championships. Soccer has been around in South Africa since the early 19th century, and it is a very important sport in their culture. Also very important to them in relation to the sport is the Vuvuzela. The Vuvuzela is a long trumpet-shaped horn that is usually made of plastic or rubber. When you blow in the Vuvuzela, the sound that it makes is kind of like a bee buzzing, or like a long, just a one monotonous droning sound. The South Africans have a great appreciation for the Vuvuzela, but a lot of people don't have that same appreciation for it, especially as it concerns the World Cup. According to an article in The Express, which is a publication of the Washington Post in Washington, D.C., written by Liz Clark, a man by the name of Saddam Maki claims that he invented the Vuvuzela in 1965. He claims that he made it from the rubber of a bicycle horn. In the same article, a man by the name of Enoch claims that the horn can be traced back to the early 20th century and that it was used in different religious rituals. There's really no concrete documented proof of the origin of the Vuvuzela, so nobody really understands where it comes from, and as a result of that, it's under great dispute. The horn was introduced in May of 2004 when FIFA announced that South Africa would be hosting the 2010 FIFA World Cup. In another article on FIFA.com, one particular fan of South African soccer was saying that they were going through a really sad time when they started using the Vuvuzela so much in that country, and that the Vuvuzela for them inspired unity and hope in their country, especially with football or soccer as we know, because due to apartheid they were basically banned from playing the sport for a long period of time. The Vuvuzela has become something of an icon at the World Cup, and the South Africans have pretty much capitalized on this being their big symbol for this sport for them. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't feel the same way as South Africans do, because they don't have the same appreciation or reverence for the horn. Coaches and players wanted to have the horn banned because they felt like it would be a distraction to them when they were trying to communicate during games and matches. And then you had other supporters or people who just love to watch soccer who felt like the sound alone was annoying and that it would distract them from being able to actually enjoy the games. One particular South African soccer fan who used to go as a child a lot, he was saying in the same article in The Express that he remembered the songs that they sang, I guess their country sang when they were having their matches, and he felt like the Vuvuzela being allowed at the World Cup was what he called a cause for lamentation, or it was just something that he just didn't agree that they should have allowed to be there. The Vuvuzela has been deemed a source of frustration, annoyance, distraction. People say that the sound that it makes just basically takes their whole focus off of the game. And if you've watched any of the matches this year, then you know that from the beginning of a match all the way through the end, you hear this loud buzzing noise in the background with all of the screaming and the yelling and the calls on the field. But the Vuvuzela, even with all of that, is still a very dominant sound on the field, which is probably why a lot of people feel like it shouldn't have been allowed, and which is also probably why the South Africans were so proud to be able to have this particular symbol that they felt like was an icon to be a part of the World Cup. Luckily for those South Africans and all those people who actually love the Vuvuzela, it was not banned as a lot of people call for it to be. The tournament continued as planned. The games were played as they were supposed to be, and the Vuvuzela was played during all of the games. Now, you know, if you watched the World Cup, there were a lot of blown calls, a lot of missed goals, a lot of crazy errors on the field and miscommunications between teammates, the Vuvuzela was not blamed for any of these because obviously it had nothing to do with that. And truthfully, the Vuvuzela wasn't that much of a distraction when you really watch the games and watch the match. The Vuvuzela has probably helped this particular FIFA World Cup to be remembered as one of the loudest, one of the most distracting for some people, probably one of the most annoying. But clearly the Vuvuzela is not going anywhere. Even if you never see it in another World Cup, it'll always be a symbol of South African football. Thank you.